real easy to die.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is. That brings up another flaw in the game that a lot of the things that should be built into your character you have to pay for. Like you have to put points into a skill so that you don't take extra damage when you're attacked from behind. And that's just no fun. That's like,
Yeah.
paying for your car to have wheels or something.
Right.
But yeah, like you have to keep those kinds of considerations in mind, and you have to use your resources. Like I can't think of how many RPGs I've played where I don't even bother to use potions or anything like that. In this game, like everything you have to make use of. You have to use your bombs. You have to make cool bombs, and you're motivated to because these fights pretty much demand it.
And you mentioned the potions, and like they all have a rub, right? They all have a negative.
Not all of them.
Oh, okay.
Some of the ones that have more spectacular effects, they do. It becomes a trade-off. So you can get one that dramatically increases the rate you would generate health, but it'll make it so that your mana regeneration is gimped. So there's a lot of trade-offs like that. There isn't much in this game that's like a clear advantage when it comes to that
Well,
stuff.
speaking of clearness and choices and stuff, like, and it's not always good or evil or black and white, right? Like when you make choices, it's just like what do you think's going to be good for the story, right? And
Yeah,
the game just plays
the world
off.
is cynical, and like I tend to be one of those people that wants to make the quote unquote right choice in every one of these games just to get like the quote unquote best ending. But in this game, if you try to do that, like you're kind of flying blind. So as a result, I just decided to go with what seems like the most fun, the most interesting thing, exactly like you said, and just see where the cards fall. And yeah, it was good. Like if you would have told me that my game would have played out the way it did, knowing the choices, I wouldn't have believed you.
Wow.
I sided with the characters that I wouldn't have expected to side with just because it came down to like a split-second decision.
Yeah.
And that totally changed the way the rest of the game played out for me.
Yeah, Blood was saying some of the decisions you make, they don't seem like the game doesn't build them up to be a big deal while you're making them.
Right,
But
absolutely.
then later on, you're like, oh crap, I can't
That-
believe
yeah.
that I chose.
That does sound
one.
like a Daniel Bloodworth quote right there.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. That was one of the things that we praised the most in the review is that you're kind of you're encouraged to kind of be in the moment and not spend so much time trying to like telegraph what's
going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, replay value. Obviously, it's a huge game. You're going to get a lot of play through the first time. Is there a lot of incentive to go back and make different choices? Does it drastically alter what happens on down the road?
Yeah, in fact, I mean, I don't know if people consider this a spoiler, but depending on one of the big choices you make in Act 1, the area where you start in and play through in Act 2 is completely different. It's one of two.
So it completely changes the area that you go to.
Yeah. So essentially, like this game has two different second acts.
So the sex scene, probably the raunchiest in games so far, minus like Battle Raper and Triple X games. Like
Right.
legitimate game releases, probably the most suggestive.
Oh yeah,
so
it's
far.
like Skinamax sex scenes,
We
straight
did
up.
not put it up on the site. It was a pretty tough decision to not do that.
Right on the
honestly.
border.
God
Yeah, it
bless
was
those
very
Eastern
close.
Europeans. at
No, you know
CD
what I
Projekt.
did? Like one time when I was playing through it, I saved right before I got to a brothel, and I just went through every single character you could have sex with in the brothel and captured it. So
You
that footage is on
Please
our
tell me
server
there's-
somewhere. If you